The rain poured mercilessly that night, blurring the city lights into streaks of gold and gray. He had just left a $1 million deal unfinished, a first for a man who never broke his schedule. But fate had other plans. As his car slowed at the hospital entrance, a desperate voice pierced through the storm. "Please, please save my daughter." She was drenched, trembling, clutching a small child's worn blanket to her chest. Her eyes, filled with the kind of pain money could never understand, met his through the tinted glass. For a moment, time stopped. He could have driven away. He should have. But something in her voice, something raw and haunting, made him step out into the rain. He didn't know it yet, but that single act of compassion would change both of their lives forever, and uncover a secret his wealth could never hide. He stood in the dim hospital corridor, the sound of his expensive shoes echoing against the cold floor. The woman sat on a plastic chair, her hands clasped tightly, eyes fixed on the red emergency light above the ICU door. He had seen desperation before, in business meetings, in boardrooms, but this was different. This was raw, human, and it unsettled something deep inside him. When he approached her, she hesitated, unsure why a man in a tailored suit would care. He quietly offered to pay for the surgery, brushing off her trembling words of gratitude. As the doctors rushed to prepare the child, he watched the fragile girl being wheeled past him. Her small fingers were pale, her chest rising and falling unevenly. He couldn't explain it, but something about her face felt achingly familiar. That night, while the city slept, he sat in the hospital lobby, his phone buzzing with calls he ignored. Deals worth millions waited, but he stayed. Over the next few days, he saw more of her world than he ever had of his own. Her home was a small, crumbling apartment tucked between crowded alleys. The mother worked double shifts, surviving on tea and little sleep, yet she smiled every time her daughter opened her eyes. Watching her fight for her child's life, he began to question everything he thought success meant. When the doctor handed him the child's medical file, his heart nearly stopped. There was a name, a date, and a record linking the girl to a charity hospital he had once secretly funded. A memory resurfaced, of a woman he had loved years ago, who vanished after he chose ambition over love. The timeline matched. The realization struck him like lightning. This woman, the one begging in the rain, wasn't just any stranger. And the child he was fighting to save might be the one thing his wealth could never buy back, a second chance at the family he never knew he had. He found himself visiting the hospital every evening, though he had no reason to. The mother would look up each time he entered, her tired eyes softening just enough to show a flicker of trust. She never asked for anything beyond what he had already given, yet he kept finding ways to help. Arranging better doctors, paying for medicine, bringing food she always insisted she didn't need. He told himself it was just kindness, a way to ease his conscience, but deep down he knew it was more than that. Something about her presence silenced the noise that had filled his life for years. One night, as the child's condition worsened, she broke down. She told him how she had been abandoned by the man she loved, left to raise her daughter alone. Her words hit him harder than she could have imagined. He wanted to confess everything, that he wasn't just a stranger who happened to stop that night, that he might be the very man responsible for her pain. But the truth sat heavy in his throat. He wasn't ready, not yet. The little girl, fragile but full of light, began to recover slowly. She smiled at him one morning and called him, Uncle. The word tore through him in ways no insult or failure ever could. He started spending hours by her bedside, reading stories, fixing broken toys, and watching the mother smile with gratitude she couldn't put into words. For the first time, his wealth felt useful, not as a weapon of power, but as a tool of healing. Late one evening, he stood outside the hospital window, watching them laugh together. The woman held her daughter close, whispering promises of a better life. He realized that he no longer saw them as charity cases or burdens of guilt. He saw them as the family he never allowed himself to have. The empire he had built suddenly felt empty compared to the warmth that filled that small hospital room. He knew he couldn't walk away this time. Whatever it took, he would stay, not as a billionaire trying to fix a mistake, but as a man finally ready to make things right.